Making the leading headline Good Times of Eswatini this Friday morning is frustration. Esiveni semaswati lesingemakhulu lasithupha lesibambe line for my travel documents. So ke embabane over 600 emaswati beat the early morning to be first in line at the Ministry of Home Affairs to apply for travel documents. So winge la itolo njengoba kubonakala kunasiya sithombe nasiya. Kulenye it's a 2 cops have been arrested for corruption. They allegedly took green chat from illegal miners, hid it at a certain homestead. Alleged to have solicited buyers for the stone, suspects left scot-free. Kauzela's son says exhibits left by Swalimo members is another leading headline. One basic uniform in schools in new guidelines. Lasa Corner. The full story is found in page 9. The last leading headline, Times of Eswatini, no drugs. Swazi farm truck impounded in SA has been freed. Stabwage temidlalo khona Times of Eswatini kungu lesihlanu after Mugelo premature death. SA Super Sports side Richards Bay deals crashed. Death has deprived Denver Sundowns Mugelo Nkambule of a chance to play in South Africa's DStv Premiership League. He was reportedly on the radar of SA side SuperSport United as well as Richards Bay. Big opportunities were awaiting the skillful striker next month. Still an elaboration of that very same story. On another one, Gwake, exceptional, kushoge cheaper GM, Dogungu Sandiso Mpengesi, who has revealed that they have been impressed by Mbabane Swallows defender Gwake Twala. Sibone ma fixtures nemi phumela emidlalweni ke kumalike ebhola lehlukene la khona lapha eveni. Kanti kona from the international front, Manchester City is wary of Fluminense. Stabuage Eswatini Observer this morning, chaos as over 600 demand passports. Another leading story says 2 cops have been arrested for corruption. It's former army commander joins Facebook. It's a girl that is 13 years old, steals 4,000 emalangeni in church. Sibukete mdlalo ku Eswatini Observer this morning, Bucks end first round winless. Another one says Ali settles players' salaries. Stabuage Eswatini Daily News. The leading headline, 2 cops nabbed charged with corruption. This is a story that speaks to Emma Poisa Lamabili Lasa Boshiwe, based at the Mbabane police station, where on Thursday were hauled into the dock facing charges of corruption. So the 2 police officers, Logung Mangoba Peter Vilagati, Nabakona Nick Moyane, appeared before senior magistrate Sifiso Vilagati facing charges of corruption, which according to the charge sheet, the 2 alleged corrupt police officers, while at Eswatini in the Horo region on July 30, acted in common purpose and solicited an advantageous and inducement in the performance of their duties as police officers. Another leading headline, UN pledges support to government for settling up essential healthcare package. Yekina Itzi Linek Investments showers 3 communities with 700 Christmas hampers. Sibukete mdlalo kweSwatini Daily News. The leading headline, late Mugelo was linked with Richards Bay FC. Denver Sundowns head coach Milton Dlamini had arranged trials for the dearly departed under-20 starlet Mugelo Nkambule at South Africa's PSL side Richards Bay FC. Kanyekene Mutsepe Foundation side Maritzburg United in January 2021 when he suddenly passed away on Tuesday. Pirates winless in Premier League first round is another leading headline. Klopp is unhappy with Anfield atmosphere. Lauge my leading headlines lomhla ekuseni isitawuba hlula emakethe sibuye sibuke indzabate Siswati.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letentiya ngaleso sikhatsi tindzaba letide emagama lacosheme letitsembekile letitsintsa tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni.
Kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo, netemhlaba wonke jikelele. Siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhathi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulo msakato siphinde sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letiqhamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakato titfombe Eswatini TV.
Kwalomhla siphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni sethabele nathi tindzaba tesiswati. EmaSwati aqhubekile nekugidza incwala lencane esigodlweni embangweni esifundzeni saseshiselweni lapho abeholwa khona yingwenyama.
Incwala lencane esifundzeni saseshiselweni lapho sive siholwa khona yingwenyama ingene elangeni lesithathu. Ngemuva kwekukhala kwelicilongo esigodlweni emabutho ngekwehlukana kwawo avele angena khona emkhunjini kwashaya ingoma. Incwala lencane ichubekile nokuba impumelelo nokuba nemgcumo esigodlweni embangweni. Lilanga lencwala lenkulu seliyasonzela njengoba silo semhlaba sibheke ukuthi sibheke esigodlweni ebuhleni kungasiko kudzala. Ingwenyama isingethwe ngemakhosikazi esilo sigodlo buba betukhulu kanye nalabakhulu embusweni labafaya ekhatsi ndvunankulu kanye nelibandla letindvuna tembuso. Tinombolo tesive seMaswati lesingenela lomkhosi kusukela elangeni lekucala kusifakazelo ukuthi eMaswati solo emile nokutsandza emakhosi kanye nemasiko awo. Etindzabeni kubika Pholile Maziya esigodlweni embangweni.
Indlovukazi Mhlekazi ichubekile nekhola sive ngesikhathi sive seMaswati sichubeka nekugidza incwala lencane esigodlweni elitsitsini. Azike lo mkhosi sewungene elangeni lemfica kanti-ke sive solo naso siyachubeka nekuphumela ngetingane.
Esigodlweni elitsitsini indlovukazi Mhlekazi ichubekile nekhola sive lebesiphume ngetingane kutawusingatha yona indlovu yemhlaba encolweni lencane leseyingene elangeni lemfica. Indlovu yemhlaba igidze isingethwe ngemakhosikazi esilo balondolozi nebantfu abenkosi seloku setulu umdlandla nasemabuthweni emnikati ngekwehlukana kwawo. Ukungena komkhosi wencwala elangeni lemfica kuluphawu luchaza ukuthi sele ngekusondzela lusuku lwencala lenkhulu lotawuhlanza tivet emhlaba khona esigodlweni elusitsini. Naloko libutho lengatsha kuyawusho kona ukuthi selisetindvukweni lilungele kwenta umsebenzi welive njengoba emalanga sikasondzela. Sandile Makhanya esigodlweni elusitsini.
Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini kutsite ngalesine wavakashelwa libandla lakamhlabuhlangene kuleli. Kanti-ke tindzabeni letikhulunyisiwe tifaka ekhatsi sibaya lesibe khona. Sihloko-ke sekuhlukubetana ngetebulili netinhlangothi tekusebentisana emkhatsini welaseswatini kanye namhlabuhlangene. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu ubonge kakhulu ekutheni bavele emahhovisi wathi lo hulumende lotsandza kungena utanelushintsho kule minyaka lesihlanu letako kufaka ekhatsi kushintsha kucabanga pheceleti i-mindset change. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu ucele emhlabuhlangene ukuthi ahambisane netinhlelo telive kusashintshwa impilo yesive semaswati. Kanti-ke umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu ucinisekisile ukuthi tintfo titawentiwa ngendlela lehlukile. Ndvunankhulu ucele lelibandla ukuthi limele lelive kahle emihlanganweni yangephandle litshele umhlaba ngekubusa kwetinkhundla. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu ubese ucela lelibandla ukuthi likhulise lihhovisi lelibukela uhlangothi lwekudla kute kusitakale tinhlelo telive kute kulima. Kanti-ke lomelele emhlabuhlangene George Washira uthi tinhlangothi tekusebentisana tamhlabuhlangene nahulumende tifaka ekhatsi luhlangothi lwetimali lwaka-procurement lwemalungelo eluntfu kanye-ke naletinye. Kulo mhlangano laseswatini lidvunyisiwe ngekutibophelela ekusebenteni lokwakhulunywa sive esibayeni kufaka ekhatsi tinkinga letibhekene nesive. Live-ke liceliwe ukuthi lisukumele etulu indzaba yesimo sebusweti nendlala kuleli njengoba mhlabuhlangene uthi utawulibambisa live. Baka-UN bathi batawulisita live ekucinisekiseni ukuthi temphilo tesive tisembili eSwatini. Lombiko uchamuka kulokhulumela hulumende Alpheus Nxumalo. Liphini Ndvunankhulu umhlonishwa Thulisile Dladla uthi libandla lenkhundla lidzinga kucinisekisa kutsi tikhwama letikhona eveni tiyasita kutfutfukisa imimango yelive. Liphini Ndvunankhulu belikhuluma ngesikhatsi livakashele indzawo yasemaphiveni ngalesine.
Liphini Ndvunankhulu umhlonishwa Thulisile Dladla livakashela indzawo yasemaphiveni esifundeni saselibonjeni kulandzela imibiko ukuthi linengi lebantfwana bakuleya ndzawo abafundzi ngenxa yetizatfu letahlukene letifaka ekhatsi ukuthi munye webatali baloyo mfana wekudzabuka kulelinye live lokholela ekutheni lo mfana angasakhona ukutfola lusito lwahulumende lolufanele kufaka ekhatsi temfundvo. Kulokunye lesive salendzawo sibe sesendlulisa ticelo kulo Liphini Ndvunankhulu.
Sikolwa sidzingo lesikhulu kulendzawo yakithi siyasidzinga kakhulu nebatali bakulendzawo bede emathuba emsebenti.
Kukhona la ekutsebeseleleni kwenta tintfo nabenta tintfo umuntu atendeke kutsebeselela ngabe usinje isikolo lamaphiveni ndvuna yenkundla angiyati mingaki iminyaka sisuka silibandla lapha sihamba siyalena kude longathi uhlapha sikola kude
nanamaphepha lebawalahlako ngiyawakhweleka mina ngihambe ngiwawasho embuluzini bengiwasebenzisa. Nakube uNkulunkulu angangelela umusa nakwetinkokholo letingafanele ngakhelene nato manje nje tisivumele ukuthi sithole lamaphepha lesibawalahlile.
Liphini Ndvunankhulu selemukela tikhalo talesive lithi hulumende nelibandla lenkundla banemsebenzi wekucinisekisa ukuthi buphuya buphela buthi nya eveni laseswatini.
Umhlonishwa nje akathi make sure ukuthi konke lokulosekwawala uyavuka. Mina ngingamhlala la ngemuva. Utaphinde futhi umhlonishwa ahamba yoguca lapha esimuni acele lenzaba yemaphepha ngoba kufanele bagijime lapho labathandi. Fansi bagijime ishidi ngwenyama esibayeni yathi wonke umphakathi nkwe samenda ke lo nkwe
Lilunga lephalamende lenkundla yasemhlume Sifiso Magagula lethembisile ukuthi batawutisebentisa bayinkundla tikhwama tentfutfuko.
Siyezama ngicela ke ukukuthembisa mina ukuthi tindzaba tetimali tetinkundla ndaweni la show sitabuya tisita sive nawulenda lelo liqiniselo.
Liphindlandvunankulu liphindze lacinisekisa ukuthi lihhovisi lakhe libambisene nelitiko letasekhaya naletinye tinhlangotsi batawuyisebenta ngekushesha indzaba yenhlalakahle yebantfwana. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelsiwe Khoza nginasimuva Shongwe emaphiveni.
Kanti-ke ngakulokunye liphinile andvunankulu umhlonishwa Kusile Dladla lithi imindeni ayibambane inikete bantfwana lutsandvo kude-ke live laseswatini lilucedze nya ludlame nekuhlukubetana. Liphinde andvunankulu belikhuluma ngesikhathi livakashele indzawo yasemaphiveni.
Ngakulokunye liphindlandvunankulu umhlonishwa Kusile Dladla ngesikhathi avakashele indzawo yasemaphiveni ngalesine uncuse sive ukuthi sinikete bantfwana lutsandvo babambisane kucinisekisa ukuthi kude umntfwana lokhula anenzondo kude luphele lonke uhlobo lwelidlame nekuhlukubetana lapha eveni.
Umsani kulwa ibatali thanda futhi uma umntali thanda umntwana wakho ungazi ukuthi angadu yini uma lo mntwana umnika lo thando umlethela emhlabeni angithi mthandeke umntwana wakho uma umthanda ngempela noma ngabe yini leconzile uphinde futhi umfundise kuconza awuhlali naye ekhaya ungamnikisi esikolweni umbabe thanda umntwana umake ube nemona ngemntwana uma lo mntwana umenyanyile takwedlula ngentulo akugala kathi so ngicela ukuthi bonke abantwana baye esikolweni bantwana bathanze nebakhunde.
Liphindlandvunankulu umhlonishwa Kusile Dladla lichubeke lathi kude umntfwana noma ngabe utelwe ngakusiphi isimo lokumela salele emuva kutemfumvo nakuletinye tidzingo temphilo kungako uhulumende imimango netinhlangosi letahlukene kumele babambisane kucinisekisa ukuthi emalungelo abo akanyatseleki. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelsiwe Khoza nginasimuva Shongwe emaphiveni.
Inhlangano yetemphilo kamhlaba iWorld Health seyinikelele litiko letempilo imithi kanye nempahla letawusita etibhedlela takuleli lokubita imali elinganiselwa ku-3.1 million emalangeni. Kanti-ke umhlonishwa indvuna yetempilo Mduduzi Mathebula ithi le mithi nempahla ifike ngesikhathi lesikahle njengoba litiko lisesigabeni sekucinisa tempilo lapha eveni. Sitaqhubeka sibukele enye indzaba lechamuka lapha etiko laka-Commerce Industry and Trade. Indvuna yetemabhizinisi Manqoba Khumalo ithi kuyajabulisa kubona titolo tinaka impilo yesive lapho tenta khona ibhizinisi ngoba lokho kukhomba kuphilelana nemimango. Indvuna beyikhuluma ekwaluseni lapho titolo taka-OK Foods tendele bantfu labadzala khisimusi. Kanti-ke indvuna beyimelelwe ngumabhalane lomncane etiko Cebile Nhlabathi. Kule chamuka itiko letekulima lihlela kutfutfukisa kulinywa kwelikhofi kuleli ngaphansi kweluhlelo lwekuvikela lugwadvule i-desert lungafiki kumave lasentasi ne-Afrika i-Great Green Wall. Mabhalane lomkhulu kuleli tiko Sydney Simelane ukuvete loku ngesikhathi litiko netinhlangothi letitsinsekako tivakashele umlimi welikhofi endzaweni yaselwandle kaManzini. Kanti-ke lenye indzaba ithi timodolote luhlangothi lwetimo letiphutfumako i-emergency medical services sevele tikanekisile emigwacweni lemikhulu yakuleli kulungela kugijima lapho kudzingakala lusito lwetempilo khona. Masithela mhlanga walo loluhlangothi uthi batamile ukuthi timodolo tithi citsisaka live lonke. Kanti-ke lenye indzaba umphathi wenkampani yemaposi netincingo Themba Khumalo uthi kumcoka ukuthi le nkampani itfutfukise takhiwo tekuchumana kude live libambe emazinga emhlaba kuto tekuchumana. Khumalo bekakhuluma ngesikhathi le nkampani ilungisa ligumbi lekuchumana lelisezulwini lelatiwa ngele-Exchange Building. Kanti-ke lenye indzaba ithi live laseswatini lisahamba kahle ekulweni netifo letingabhedvuka pheceleti i-Public Health Management. Matthew Toots welibandla le-Center for Disease Control e-Africa uthi emhlanganweni lababenawo nelitiko letempilo bakhanze ukuthi live lisahlangabetana nalokubekiwe ekulweni netifo. Enye indzaba ithi-ke umsolwa loneminyaka lengemashumi lamabili budzala uvele embi kwenkantolo yamanje yenhlangano abekwe emacala lamane ekugcekeza.
Licembu lenyamane classic lelidlala
Nathi-ke temidlalo lethambe embili inkampani i-Eclipse yesekela licembu lenyamane classic nelijezi lelisha kudla kwemalanga lalishumi kulokunye. Lolu sito-ke lwekwesekela lelicembu lisenta emalungiselelo ekudlala umncintiswano weNgwenyama Cup, kanti-ke lolu sito libite imali lengu-100,000 emalangeni. Kulenye indzaba phezulu longumengameli wenhlangano yemidlalo we-table tennis uthi kungumgomo wenhlangano lengamele yona lemidlalo emhlabeni ukuthi linani labomake labangenela lo mdlalo libe ngulelo lelibonakala likhula. Kwalo muhle betingako teSwati sitawubahlolwa etimakethe sibuye sichubeke nelihlelo masinyane. Kwelo muhle lesikhathi sanyalo sitawulalela umchumanisi wesiteshi setitfombe Eswatini TV nomcebo Mpamali asichazela ukuthi kule festive season engabe yini lokufuneka ukuthi ukugathe lapha ka-Eswatini TV.
Eswatini TV will be broadcasting quite a number of interesting programs, seeing that this is a time of joy, of cheer, and just being at home, relaxing over the holidays, over good content. So seeing Eswatini TV, we felt we have a role to play in as far as producing or rather broadcasting my programs. Our producers are by Katibo, Bomatwele, we also have Elfo, Mangaliso Masilela. They've really come up with great content. One of the programs is called Squad Code. This is a very trendy program. Lapokona, they discuss topics, everyday topics, but from a humorous side of it. So that program, it started last week Saturday. So every Saturday at 6 p.m, Squad Code is on your screens. Make sure you watch it. It also features Emma personalities. We have Emma comedians, we have our actors, we have our presenters. So those are the type of people that you'll be seeing in this particular program. And we have the comeback of Elfo, also a very popular guy. Siamadi through my programs, as well as the Beatdown. So he has a music special called A Gift of Music. Lapokona, they're having a laid-back, intimate conversations with our musicians from the Kingdom of Eswatini over a nice meal at the Velvet Monkey, a very nice restaurant that we have around the Zuluni area. We also have more programs. Another one is called My Christmas Day, which is what do you do on your Christmas Day? So this is a special program which is locally and internally produced on Christmas Day. And make sure that if you want to have that feeling of Christmas, that warmth in you, make sure that you don't miss out on these programs, because they will definitely put a smile, on your faces. And it's not only that, Akhona nama-programs lamanye lesinawo the usual on our program schedule. Eswatini Lifestyle, we have a Kappa with Nomcebo, we have the Golden Hour. These programs are also going to be custom made for the festive season. And for those of you that love your movies, we have lots and lots of movies throughout the festive season. So every day at 2 p.m. we will be broadcasting international content, which is international movies and blockbuster movies. So make sure that at 2 p.m. you tune in to Eswatini TV. And not only that, cinema drama series lamaningi lamasha. Abafaka nabo The Border. We have Suits. We also have a very important program coming back to our local content, because it's after a festive season. Everyone is looking forward to Otuba Umnyaga 2023. So Eswatini TV is going to be a buzz. We're going to have a live studio production later at 7:30 in the evening. We have Emma A-listers of DJs that'll be in the studio DJing live, and we're going to have our youthful presenters who are going to be part of the program. We've got Chuki, and we have another surprise presenter that's going to be part of this particular program. In this show, they will also make sure which they cross over to the happening sports, within the country, because it's New Year's Eve. Clubs, they are happening because they are out there dancing, having fun, just waiting for 12 midnight. So we'll be crossing over to different entertainment spots within the country. Your Solanis, we're going to be on the rooftop, and quite a number of them where we'll be witnessing in this particular entertainment areas. So from us as Eswatini TV, we say public viewers are safe. We want them, because we don't even have plans of going out. The content or our beautiful programs are going to make sure you're entertained and you have a safe and a beautiful week, or rather festive season.
Our communications officer Nomcebo Mpamali giving us a lowdown of our Christmas schedule. Asibahlole market tester ubuya sibukela indzaba leti qhamuka ngaphandle kwalapha eveni.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes, from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Welcome back to the program. Let's take a look at international news. A lone gunman opened fire in a university building in downtown Prague, killing at least 14 people and wounding more than 20 in the Czech Republic's worst ever mass shooting.
Police and ambulance sirens echo in the city of Prague as the country reels from the day's events. On Thursday, a lone gunman entered a university building located in the heart of the Czech capital and opened fire, killing over a dozen people and injuring more.
At
14:59, we received the first information about a shooting in the building of the Faculty of Philosophy, here on Palach Square. The first patrols were on the scene within minutes. The intervention unit was there in 12 minutes, and at 15:20 we received information from the intervening police officers that the lifeless body of the shooter was on the parapet of this school.
The suspect was a 24-year-old student at the same university from the village of Hostin, a town a few kilometers from Prague. Police had been searching for him for several hours after the body of his father was found. They had been tipped off that he was likely heading for the capital with the intention to commit suicide. According to initial investigations, the shooter was inspired by a similar case in Russia earlier this year.
There is no justification for this horrendous act, and like many of you, I feel deep sadness and disgust in the face of this senseless and brutal violence. At the moment, it appears to have been an act of a lone gunman. It is therefore not an act of international terrorism or an organized group.
Gun crime is relatively rare in the Czech Republic, and the tragedy marks the worst mass shooting in the country's history.
Hopes rose that Israel and Hamas may be inching toward another truce and hostage release deal in the Gaza war, following talks in Europe and a visit to Egypt by the head of the Palestinian militant group.
The bombing continued in Gaza on Wednesday with no sign of a break in hostilities to give local people some relief. In Israel, families of hostages held in Gaza are pinning their hopes on a ceasefire to get their loved ones back. They attended a press conference at Kibbutz Be'eri, which was attacked by Hamas militants on October 7th. Ophir Engel was taken hostage that day and was released last month during the short-lived ceasefire.
I was there, and every moment the hostages are there is danger. They have no time. Why do I get to be here and they don't? They all have to come back home now.
There was a glimmer of hope for families earlier in the week when Hamas released videos of 2 hostages held in Gaza. But speaking in Lebanon on Wednesday, a senior Hamas official reiterated there would be no release of any more hostages without a ceasefire.
We have been clear for some time that since the occupiers stopped the temporary truce, we have informed all parties about the clear and specific positions that there will be no negotiation on the issue of prisoners before stopping the aggression.
A ceasefire had appeared to be edging closer with Qatari brokered talks in Poland last week. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh also met Egypt's head of intelligence in Cairo, but more needs to fall into place before there's a break in the fighting, however temporary that might prove to be.
The United States freed a close ally of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in exchange for the release of 10 Americans imprisoned in the South American country and the return of a fugitive defense contractor known as Fat Leonard, who is at the center of a massive Pentagon bribery scandal. Now, the Biden administration announced this week.
An ally of President Nicolas Maduro, Alex Saab, is back in Caracas, released by the U.S. in exchange for 10 American citizens held in Venezuela, plus a fugitive. Saab was arrested on charges of conspiracy to commit money laundering and bribery schemes involving housing and food programs. For the Maduro government, he was an envoy who was unfairly arrested and tortured.
I want to welcome this brave man, a patriot. After 1,280 days of kidnapping, the truth has triumphed.
President Joe Biden granted Saab clemency to bring home 10 detainees held in Venezuela, plus a fugitive, Leonard Glenn Francis, at the heart of one of the largest bribery scandals in Pentagon history. The U.S. president insisted that a key condition for the swap to be carried out is a promise from President Maduro to make the next election more democratic.
We have no higher priority than the release of detained and/or hostage Americans being held hostage. In addition to that, Venezuela thus far is keeping their commitment toward the democratic election.
Biden's approach of warming ties comes after attempts by President Donald Trump to help Venezuela's opposition through sanctions had failed. But critics say his softer method may strengthen the South American leader.
Poland's pro-European Union government on Wednesday launched a reform of state media and sacked their management as right-wing lawmakers staged a sit-in to protest the changes in public broadcasts were interrupted. Now, the shake-up comes a week after Prime Minister Donald Tusk took power and after 8 years of rule by the right-wing Law and Justice PIS party.
An interruption of the programme on Polish state television. After rushing on set, the presenter explains to viewers that the channel has been taken off air before being ushered away himself. Executives from state TV channel TVP Info, State Radio and the Polish press agency have been sacked by Poland's new government. They're accused of having transformed state media into propaganda tools aimed to serve the former Conservative government, members of which were quick to react.
It's an attack against free press. It's a violation of the law.
Such an intrusion, a forced intrusion against state television authorities is an act of total chaos.
For 8 years, state media was widely seen as having been under the control of the right-wing populist Law and Justice Party. Poland's new pro-European administration says it's trying to put an end to that. At the head of the coalition, Donald Tusk has promised media pluralism and the creation of new channels. It comes amid a more general pledge to overturn years of peace reforms, an attitude that has been generally welcomed by the EU.
I welcome very much that the new government wants to substantially change the course and work together to advance.
Meanwhile, the Polish opposition staged a protest at the TV channel's headquarters and has promised future demonstrations in Warsaw.
And in Turkey, the assault of a referee in a major professional soccer match put a focus on the wider spectre of violence against professionals in Turkish society, which critics blame on populist politics and a deepening political divide. Here's a report.
After a week-long suspension, Turkish soccer supporters returned to the stadiums. The unprecedented ban resulted from a referee being punched and then kicked on the ground by senior club officials of a major league team. Halil Umut Meler, who often referees international games, was hospitalized. The incident drew worldwide condemnation. But the assault also brought into focus the growing violence faced by many public professionals in Turkey. Medical staff have been protesting for more than a year over the increasing violence. The Physicians Association says there has been a 600% rise in violent attacks over the past decade. Sumbele, who only wants to be identified by her first name, is a nurse at an Istanbul hospital.
There is a violence in the health sectors that increases day by day. There are no criminal charges against perpetrators, and we're beaten every day.
Schools, too, are witnessing a surge in violence against staff, according to unions. Some analysts blame the years of populist politics of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his AK party, whose voting base is poor and religiously conservative. Erdogan often accuses the educational elite of undermining his rule.
What Erdogan and AK Party Justice and Development was propagating is that they are representing the real people. So they're coming from the grassroots and they are representing the true native culture of Turkey. Then you have the opposition, who are the traitors, the elite, the people who are to be castigated. And you have a minority which can be just bashed, just stepped upon.
Erdogan's government rejects such criticism, saying they've introduced legal protection for doctors and other professionals. But critics say those measures aren't being enforced. With the country facing growing economic woes which are impacting services, professional groups claim they are becoming the scapegoats for growing public anger.
They don't see the real reason for their problems and target the health professionals instead of the system. So violence escalated. The frustration, unfortunately, just was reflected towards health professionals instead of the government.
Analysts say the beating of Mele, one of Turkey's high-profile referees, has become a symbol of the dangers faced by many professionals who serve the Turkish public.
That was our international news. We'll go for a net break. We return with our in-house sports journalist and analyst Fabrice Msonera to talk football news. Welcome back to the program. We will kick off this weekend at Nzabeni Tebola with the Royal Leopard versus Green Mamba Lomohla at 3 p.m. We'll also have Nsingizini Hotspurs versus Rangers, but let's talk about it all with Fabrice Msonera, our in-house sports journalist and analyst. Welcome to the program, Fabrice. A very good morning to you.
It's a beautiful morning, Swiso. And once again, for the viewers, happy festive season.
Indeed. Festive season comes with exciting games, Fabrice. I think Royal Leopard versus Green Mamba should be an interesting one. Especially looking at where Royal Leopard is positioned and where they aspire to be. Obviously, Green Mamba has been sitting pretty at the top for the longest time now. And you look at their games in hand, I think you've been highlighting that, you know, they are really, really, really putting out a statement. Yet again, are we preparing ourselves for a blockbuster of a game, or it should be something that we should be, you know, saying we know what's going to happen already?
It's pretty much of who now is a bigger team when you talk about the armed forces sides. You know that Green Mamba now officially are the champions of the first round, which means today when they get the you know, when they after the game, either they are defeated or it's a draw or it's a victory, they're going to get the first round carrot of 100,000 emalangeni today. So it then puts that motivation for them coming to the game. You know what, we want to get the victory, knowing that you know, we get a home, we go home with the money. But yesterday, maybe just to highlight that game between Madlenya and Moroni Pirates at Stegi, Pirates was so close to get their first ever victory of the season, but they played a 1-1 draw against Madlenya in a very, very, very tense game at Galanga in Stegi, which for me, I think I appreciated the beautiful football that is brought in by Coach Gcina Dlamini at Moroni Pirates. So let's hope within the second round they maybe can be able to pick up points. But coming back to the game you talked about today at Mabuso Sports Center from 3 p.m., Green Mamba wants to get that carrot with a positive result. And coming to the game, Royal Leopard also want to say, historically, we are the team to watch. We've never had a problem, we'll never play you. So I think today, not only are we going to see the champions of the first round getting the carrot, but it's a high, intense game. These are the two teams in the past, I think, 4 to 5 years, they have provided the most numbers in the national teams from Semnigati. So we can't wait.
Yeah, Fabrice, maybe before we look into the other games that we'll see over the weekend, you just highlighted Madlenya versus Moroni Pirates, and I think there's more to discuss there, especially looking at how Madlenya has been playing and where they are positioned, you know, on the log standings. I'm not too sure if, well, maybe I calculated wrongly. I would assume Madlenya is supposed to be in the second position.
It is the
ahead of
position.
Mbabane. Okay, there we go. Maybe that has to be revised. But at the end of the day, Madlenya playing really well, Fabrice, to start the season, and you wouldn't expect that for a side like Madlenya. what do you have to say to a side like Madlenya, coming from Fabrice?
I did talk to the coach and the captain yesterday after the game, Captain Lakika, and they say, you know what, we're now 24 points. After yesterday's draw against Moni Pirates, they are now 24 points.
Yeah.
So Swallows is here to play this weekend. Anything can change, but Madlenya, when you talk about in terms of goal difference, I think they stand a better chance. So, and then they were saying that the spirit of togetherness, it's what is driving the team. And the coach also believed that they are also shocked that they are where they are today, spending Christmas, sitting on within the top 3 teams in the country. He says the objective and the mandate and the mission that he was given when he was given the team back into the Premier League, they said, you know what, just go and at least finish in the top 8 and avoid relegation. And where they are right now, it's a credit. But I think the support that they get from the management, it's a team from down there in Eswatini. So they talk about how, for them, the players, they play for the badge. It's not about who's this Toramari at the end of the month. Yes, there is something they're getting, but for them, it's all about they're motivated. They play for the team. They're all based at Eswatini. So there is that spirit of saying, let's do it for our people.
You know what, Fabrice, as you talk about them being motivated and you highlighting some of the things that potentially motivate them, I think we also, have sort of a spectacle of what Nsingizini could look like after acquiring that sponsorship, and then, that's an incentive, I suppose, for the team. Should we expect Nsingizini to be motivated and perhaps give us a really good game against Rangers this weekend?
You would want to see, it's one of the biggest games also of this weekend. It's a Shiselweni derby. Both sides are from Shiselweni. I'm actually thinking the capacity, playing at the Kings of Blues already second. I'm thinking it's going to be crowded. It's a weekend, festive season. People are in the right mood. Coming to this game, I think things you would want to see them maybe where Madlenya is today in terms of what they have done for the team, in terms of the spending they have made, getting the coach all the way from Malawi. Let's give them time, because if we were to talk about a team that currently now, ticks all the boxes in terms of CAF license. They have now an up and running office. They have got juniors. They have got a female team. They have got also coming up a training ground. They are preparing in the next 2 to 3 years. They will have their own stadium. So you want to give them time. It could be not their season this season, but remember there's the Ngonyama Cup. Who knows? They could be able to surprise anyone. But give them a season or 2. They will respond. They are yet to convince players from the big teams to go play for them. So after a period of time, 2 to 3 years, we might see something when it comes to this side.
Very interesting game there. But tomorrow we see Galanga Technical Center hosting Highlanders versus Buffaloes at 3 p.m. And when you look at the log standings and how those two teams are positioned, it's going to be a battle of egos. And, just how they are playing this season together. It will indeed be a really great game.
It's going to be a really great game. Look at where Buffaloes are now. Look at when the Highlanders are. And in as much as I'm giving to Buffaloes in terms of score prediction, but you want also
why
to
are you
say,
giving it to Buffaloes before?
I think I'm looking at the history between the two sides. I'm looking at the players on paper, one-on-one. They stand a better chance to get 3 points on the day and jump to number 5, depending on how Royal Leopard played against Green Mamba. But in as much as Royal Leopard might win, it won't change anything because Buffaloes will just get 20 points. But if Highlanders win and Royal Leopards does lose, so then it means Highlanders have got 22 points. We're going to have to look at the score in terms of goal difference. They both stand on 5-5, but we're going to have to look at the game between them. How did it go? It was a draw. Now, if it was a draw, who was hosting? So we're down to that level to say, the dynamics. And when they were playing, who was hosting? Leopard was hosting. So Highlanders now got a draw away, so they might be on top of Royal Leopard. So I think for me, coming to this weekend, for the very first time, I think in over 6 to 7 years, it's the first time where the league decided to carry on during the festive season. We're used to see the league taking a break at this point in time. So this game, entering Christmas, we want to see something different. It's far. Highlanders supporters would have loved maybe to see the game being played at the Mavuso, but maybe taking a drive for over 110 kilometers from here to Stegi. It's a chance for maybe, let's see what they can cook, let's see what they can deliver.
Interesting indeed.
Yeah, Buffaloes have a chance to win this
What
game.
an interesting weekend in terms of the games that we'll see. I mean, this Highlanders versus Buffaloes game is going to be a really interesting one. As you mentioned, the Shiselweni two sides playing together at Shiselweni and it being a festive season. What a weekend it's going to be. But you mentioning they would have loved to play at Mavuso Sports Center. Mavuso Sports Center will be hosting 2 games this weekend, and one of those games, Wanderers, which has been the topic of conversation with the changes that they are making with the team. Do we see those changes working out for them against Seabirds? Seabirds have been playing really better than Wanderers this season.
You know what's painful, Swiss? I think for us, every season, there's something that happens, and then I'm like, where are we? Can CAF really come and inspect what we're doing? When Wanderers played Bawan Highlanders, there were reports that some of the players, just went their own. And in terms of squad, they had only 14 players, which means when they played that game, they had only 1 substitution. There was only 1 player on the bench, plus the goalkeeper. Players went to play Stockfair in South Africa because there was a holiday last weekend in South Africa. We're talking about the likes of Spider and other players. Then how do you come into the game with only 1 substitution? So it's tricky. So those are some.
Do you blame the team or do you blame the players that went to South Africa?
Then you have to look at other things. Then what are we doing? The players are suffering. This is why when these guys retire, they just don't want anything to do with football because they don't get what they want. They don't get that motivation. 2, Highlanders. Talk of the story now. Before we leave their topic against Buffaloes, they're coming to this game. There are reports that they haven't received the salary for November.
Yeah, so
imagine you going into that game
demotivated.
Yeah, demotivated. So there is a lot. But coming to the game against Manzini Seabirds,
it's quite interesting, Fabrice. Not to cut you, today's leading headlines. Ali says they got paid. He says he paid.
It's a tricky. I don't think if you pay me, I wouldn't go public and say you didn't pay me. Then what do I want? Especially if you've been taking
believe the players.
In a sense, there is 2 sides.
Why would the players lie anyway?
Why would I lie if you paid me? That's what TV pays me, and then I go public and say you didn't pay me. I mean, it's.
Would you do that though?
Oh, there's a possibility that we've seen that in the past. Oh, you find that there were incentives that were promised.
Right.
It was half salary. All those things. So. We have to wait and see. But for me, I think coming to this game, Highlanders mentally they are disturbed. For Wanderers against Seabirds, they have a chance to take advantage of these Wanderers. That is also not okay financially. That's not okay in terms of how the team is organized. Ikabon Mastocha now has penned down a contract. He's now the fully coach. He is training the team. Are we going to see results? Let's see. But I still have a problem to say, how are you getting a coach of a team that is lower than you? Moroni Pirates is still where they are because
their last game, when I spoke to Master, he said they showed flashes of improvement after acquiring Ikabot. So perhaps the previous team, the blame shouldn't be on Ikabot.
But they have the same
should be on the team.
Financially.
Fabrice, let's move on to the next game. After Wanderers and Seabirds, 4:30 p.m., Swallows versus Silova will take center stage at the Mavuso Sports Center, and Swallows really needs that win.
It's a tough one. I know Ilovo are not where you would think they would be 7th position. They're within the top 8. They're tough to start to watch. If you see Green Mamba up there, 1 game they have lost, up there on the fixture, on the table. The only game that Green Mamba, as the defending champions and log leaders, the game they have lost, it's against Ilovo. So they're a tough side. Whenever they face big guns, they deliver. So coming to this game, let's hope Swallows can maybe pray for a draw. But anything can happen. They are motivated by Babane Swallows. They're from that draw against Babane Highlanders. They thought they could have won the game. They also played a draw against Eswatini United. I've seen the type of football that Caleb Ngonya is installing in the team. They're in a rebuilding process after the departure of the likes of Tony, Banele Scones and Wanda. The team now is once again regaining momentum. I think Swallows also, they need 1 or 2 seasons to also hit the ground running and polish up a few issues, but they're a good side to watch. Coming to this game, for me, let's say they will share points.
Fabrice, we kicked off match day 16 of 38 of the English Premier League yesterday with Crystal Palace. I mean, that game, whatever it was, but I'm really interested in Liverpool versus Arsenal tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Because as you know, Anfield is hosting that game.
It's a worrying fixture.
We've seen how they've played before. Arsenal has a 34% probability of winning this game. Liverpool is being given a 40% probability based on how they've played together in the previous games. But it should be the game of the weekend. Maybe before we discuss the other fixtures, let's start with this one before we run out of time.
It's a game that in the past has delivered more goals than any other game. You could see a 4-4, 3-3, 5-5 and everything. And actually I was telling the majority of the Arsenal supporters to say, you Arsenal supporters, if you don't realize that the team that actually you are competing with, it's Liverpool more than Manchester City. I'll tell you what, I'll support my faith. Don't think Aston Villa is not there to fight as well. And they are also, they have a chance to win maybe the European Conference League. But Aston Villa will cause upset. I'm not saying they will go up there and be number one. In my opinion, they will cause upset. Manchester City, why am I not rating them? People are saying Kevin De Bruyne is back. He was training. They have a game today against Fluminense in the Club World Cup. But Manchester City, it's not like they are not scoring. They are scoring. But now what has changed? They are conceding goals.
Right.
So City are still scoring in the absence of
Kevin De Bruyne is not coming to defend.
Yeah, he's not coming to defend. So they're still they're still conceding. And I think people now are getting used to what City can deliver on the field. That team, number 2, that team. I think they should be scared. And going to that side, they are motivated. Let's hope for a draw for both sides. And I think if it's a draw for Arsenal, it's a better result.
It's a quick question, Fabrice, maybe before we further our discussion. Which team do you support? Just generally.
In general?
Yeah.
Fluminense from Brazil.
No, I mean in the English Premier League.
I don't support any team in the English Premier League. I just watch.
It's you saying let's hope for a draw, and your tone there had a bit of.
No, we're praying for both sides supporters. Let's hope so that we don't want fights. We want to enjoy the festive. But it's like when I know it's in the very, but let's hope for a draw for both sides.
Manchester City is going to play Brentford, as you can see over there. They play Brentford, and like you said, we shouldn't be worried about Manchester City as we are worried about Liverpool and other teams like Arsenal. But the question then becomes, Man City playing a team like Brentford should be an easy win, at least for Manchester City.
They're a tough side to face, Brentford. Anything can happen, but I think they haven't got 3 points in a while. I think that draw against Crystal Palace. And then we talk about also other games that they managed to fail to get 3 points.
Fabrice, I think Manchester City, they're in the Club World Cup, so they shouldn't be playing for a couple of matches. I think,
so
now it makes sense.
Today evening, And then Pep Guardiola has been speaking about one of the toughest opponent is seeing a player legend like Marcelo, former Real Madrid captain.
Fabrice, we have only a minute and a half. Let's go to La Liga real quick because it's going to, on a break for some time after this weekend. There's some of the results that we saw for match day 8.
Girona,
surprising
package. Our Madlenya side, that's Madlenya. Because I was actually telling Linda to say, then he says our league is strong because all the leagues that are strong now, they have got a surprising package.
Right.
Go to Belgium. Leverkusen are number 1. Not to say they're a surprising package, but I haven't been in number 1 position in a long time. Go to Spain, Girona, look where they are, and they are yet to play this coming weekend. Come to us, Madlenya. Go to England, Aston Villa. So this is a surprising package that you can talk about.
Barcelona losing to Club America, which was a club friendly, of course. But I think that is telling for me of how they are right now. To see Girona ahead of them.
They'll pick up.
You reckon?
Yeah, I don't think they will match what Madrid can offer at this point in time. But I don't think the season will end like this. By the time 18 games played. By the time it's probably 25 games, it's going to be different.
We've run out of time. It's going to be a great weekend of football.
It is indeed.
I hope they are going to enjoy it, but enjoy it responsibly. Bonkosi sanvalile sansale kahle.